Hi, my name is Tamara, and you're watching Things Even a Monkey Should Know. Thanks for watching again today. As you know, if you've watched some of the other videos, I'm not a professional. I'm just a girl who's figured out there's a lot of stuff I can do myself around the house, sometimes in the yard, and sometimes on the cars. So as you can see today, it's not quite as freezing, so I'm outside doing something I've needed to do for about a month, and that is to clean out the air filter on my car. So let's get started on that. So before I jump into all the stuff that we're going to need today, which isn't really that much stuff, I just wanted to tell you a little bit about why I'm doing the air filter myself, along with the fact that I do as many things myself as I can. I realized that every time I got the oil changed in my car, the place that I go to, and they're very good, and I don't think they're necessarily trying to rip me off, but they would always tell me that I needed to get an air filter change. And it's really important that your air filter is clean so that your engine can draw in air successfully, and if it can't, if you have a dirty filter, then it will wear on your gas mileage. But you don't typically need to get your air filter changed at every single oil change. So the last time I let them do it, I think it was about $35. And I was just thinking, this is just really expensive to have to do this twice a year. So I went down to the auto parts store, and come to find out, to get a reusable filter, it was $35. They actually range in price. It depends on your car and, the filter itself, because the filters come in all shapes, sizes, and colors. But so now I have this filter that'll last the lifetime of the car, and I can change it out myself, and I clean it, and it's not a big deal. So it's just something to think about. So one other helpful thing to know is where your air filter is in your car. It's going to vary depending on your vehicle, and it is the engine air filter. It is not the cabin air filter. They are very different. Anyway, so depending on where it is, and you can ask the people at your oil change place to show you where it is actually, and if they won't show you, which there's no good reason why they wouldn't, sometimes you can find it in your owner's manual. You can also look it up in a search engine online and ask where is the air filter for blah blah blah, whatever your car make and model is. So depending on where it is, you may need something to set your butt on. I know I do, because mine, I have to get on the ground to get to mine. You might want to have a little rag so that you can wipe your hands on it. You may need a flashlight, depending on, again, on where the filter is. You will probably need a screwdriver of some description. Again, it depends on what air filter you have and all that, because it's different across many different models of cars, of course. And you will need, if you get the reusable air filter, you will need to get a recharge kit. And mine is a K&N. That's a pretty common brand. And it is not the only brand, it is just the one that my auto parts store happens to stock. And in this kit, you will have, the cleaner for your air filter, and you will have the oil that goes on the air filter after you clean it. And of course, you will need the air filter, so let's go find that right now. Now I have to tell you, I did cheat, and I went ahead and loosened the filter in here so that you wouldn't have to see me grunt and strain to get it out. Could they have put it in a more awkward place? Maybe. I'm not sure though. So on my car, all I do is I reach in here now that it's loose, and I pull the air filter out this way, and there is indeed no other way to do it. But as you can see, it's quite filthy on the side that is closest to the road, so this definitely needed a cleaning. So I'm not sure if I was very clear earlier about the color that this should be. In a natural state, mine should be red, but it should be fairly bright red. This is the side that was down towards the road, so as you can see, it's pretty black. So all that I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my, well, actually first thing, there's some gravel and stuff that's kind of stuck in here. So you might want to just beat on it a little bit, kind of get some of those bigger chunks out. But then you will take your air filter cleaner and you'll just coat this really thoroughly all the way around. Make sure, especially on the side that has the dirtiest part, that you get that side the best. I'll make that. Just make sure it's really thick, because this is what's going to, whoops, sorry if you couldn't see that. This is just what's going to soften up the dirt and stuff so that it comes right out. And then you let it sit for 10 minutes. Okay friends, now that it's been 10 minutes, I'm going to very gently from the inside, I'm going to spray down all of the ribs in this and get as much dirt out as possible, and hopefully it'll be all clean on the first go round, and we'll just find out. Pretty good. The only parts I'm a little skeptical about is right up here where I couldn't get with my sprayer. So I'm actually going to go ahead and coat those again and just repeat exactly what I just did until I'm comfortable and confident that it's as clean as it can be. Okay, I have cleaned it and re-cleaned it, and it looks pretty good now, as you can see. You want to make sure that there's not, see there's a little speck of gravel there, you want to go through, make sure that you don't have any chunks of road crap left in this or anything. And this one, whoops, that was just the collar. It looks pretty good, so now we are ready to let it sit and dry. Okay, so the only downside to the reusable air filter is that you have to allow it time to dry completely before you put on the air filter oil. It usually takes about a day for it to dry. So as an alternative, if you don't have a day that you can leave your car out of commission, you can buy a super cheap temporary one to put in your car just for the day. And those will run you $5 to $10. They're not very expensive. What I did, because whenever I first started doing this, I didn't have quite the time that I do now. I'm not saying I still have tons, but what I did was I bought an additional reusable filter. Anyway, so this one is, believe it or not, even though it's kind of grayish, it is very clean and it is dry. So I'm just going to go ahead and apply the oil to it. And you want to make sure, well, first of all, you don't want to get this oil on your hands, so I should have, in my list of things that you need, I should have included a glove, but I didn't, but now you know. And then I'm going to just coat this thoroughly with the oil. And the oil is red, so you can see pretty well where you coat it. And it just goes on like spray paint, basically. And what you'll do after you've coated this is you'll let it sit and wick, they call it, for 20 minutes. And what that means is just that the filter gets time to soak up as much oil as it can, and then you'll be able, anywhere that you didn't get very well, very thickly or thoroughly, the filter will be grayish instead of red. And I'm going to stop talking and put this down because... Okay, it's been 20 minutes. So, just one quick thing. Reusable filters are made out of fabric. You probably noticed that the other filter, the one that I was cleaning today, was red. This one is not as red. That one actually is made out of red fabric, so it's harder to tell, which kind of sucks because it's harder to tell whenever you've gotten it thoroughly coated in oil, but whatever. Anyway, so as you can see, this one is not real red anymore, so I'm going to go ahead and just give it another good coating of oil. I'm not, well, I'm not going to talk as much this time because I don't like inhaling this stuff. It's not very good for you. Now that it's touched up and has another good coat of oil on it, it should be good to go. So I'm ready to put it back in the car. Oh yes, I just finished putting the filter in. I didn't make you go through everything I just went through because I had to grunt and squirm and groan to get it in there. Most of the time it's not going to be that hard to get these air filters back in the cars. So that wasn't so bad, right? So the only other thing that I could suggest for you is that for your interim filter, if you're doing the reusables, instead of buying a new inexpensive filter for the filter that you put in your car for the day that the reusable needs to dry, instead of buying one, just hold on to the old one that was in your vehicle, and that way you don't have to buy one, and that one's not going to be used much, just a day, every 6 months or so. That is about how often I clean my filters in the car, is about once every 6 months, whether it really needs it or not, depending on the mileage. But it's just been a really good schedule for me to keep. So if you think about it, the startup cost $35 for a filter, and then the first time you clean it, you'll have to get the recharge kit. I couldn't remember the name of it, and that's about $12. So for, say, in the area of $37, again, the filter price is going to vary depending on what filter you have, but in the area of, we'll say $40, you get a filter that you can use for the life of your car. Whereas otherwise, if you were to change your filter at your oil change, let them do it twice a year, it's the same amount of time that I clean mine, then that would be $70 a year for me. So this filter setup already pays for itself just within the first 2 filter changes. So I hope that helped you, and I hope you can see that it's really not a big deal to do your filter yourself, and it can really save you a good little bit in the long run. And it is all of those little things that add up to make life unaffordable, right? So anyway, I hope to see you next time.